We have some new video from a completely different angle of the crash of Reach 5, the EMS helicopter that was taking off from Sacramento's UC Davis Medical Center and crashed shortly after liftoff here on Highway 50 Monday night near Sacramento, California. Let's check it out. We see the helicopter entering the right side of the screen here in a fairly low energy state, hitting the embankment and then sliding onto the freeway. A couple of updates we've learned on this incident. One was that the helicopter was departing the UC Davis Med Center and attempting to fly right over to McClellan Air Force Base or McClellan Airfield, just north of Sacramento, just a few miles from here, and presumably to get gas to return home to their home base of Redding, California. Also reported that this model of EC-130 helicopter had the new improved fuel tanks on board the aircraft, making it more crash-worthy, perhaps explaining why there was no post-crash fire. Also being reported was that there was a previous accident right here near the helicopter accident site, well before the helicopter crashed, backing up traffic on the westbound lanes of Highway 50. So that brought EMS officials closer to the accident site once the helicopter did crash, and it was a good thing that the helicopter did not have enough energy to reach over to the other side of the freeway where all those cars were parked or stopped for that accident. So what this video does show us more clearly is the energy state of the helicopter as he was completing his auto rotation or whatever was causing his emergency landing. Let's go back and take a look at the numbers and the site on the freeway where this happened. Whatever happened to this crew happened very quickly after liftoff from the hospital there at UC Davis with a maximum altitude of 500 feet being reached right there abeam U Street and a descent beginning right past U Street. Now let's go take a look at that on the Google Maps and check the distance out. Here is the hospital. Here's U Street. Measure distance from here to the crash site. That's 946 feet. Call it 1,000 feet. So they had 1,000 feet to go forward from only an altitude of about 450 feet above the ground, approximately. And that's all GPS ADS-B altitude and will have to be confirmed. They may have been even lower. So it was whatever happened very quickly, and the pilot was forced to stretch that glide to make the freeway as his best landing zone for this emergency procedure. He certainly did not have enough energy to reach the park on the other side of the freeway. And anything short of the freeway certainly would have meant a crash into the houses or onto the narrow streets and trees around these houses. Now we can go down on the street view and see exactly where the impact was on the freeway and check for wires. But here's a freeze frame with the helicopter impacting the embankment right on the far side of this road sign right here. Note these two large palm trees here and this tree over here. If we pop down to Google Maps here on Highway 50, that was the 48th Street overpassing. And let's go back this way until we see this road sign right here. Get on the other side of it and turn around. Okay, let's turn around. All right, there is the road sign and the two palm trees. So the impact was on this embankment right over here with the helicopter ending up right here. In what would that be, number 1 lane of the eastbound traffic on Highway 50. Now, if we get over here to the other side of the sign and turn around and look back, let's come over just a little further. There we go. Here was the flight path that the crew was taking, and here was the embankment that they impacted with the tail rotor. Now, if we hop back over to the north side of the freeway to the westbound lanes where the first video was shot from and take a look across, there is one small wire off of this pole here. Don't know if that could have been a contributing factor, but this was the direction of flight of the helicopter on in. Now if we go back and review the original video from yesterday, helicopter coming towards the driver and right there striking something before impact. And here we can see a telephone pole with a possible wire. But when the wire strikes, or whenever this landing gear moves, the skid, I can't see anything, any wire nor the embankment behind the helicopter. Another excellent commentator in the comment section of the previous video brought up the point that when these single-engine helicopters are launching off of the top of these hospital buildings, they are launching right into the middle of the worst part of the HV diagram, height versus velocity diagram, for these single-engine helicopter operations, which brings into question the whole concept of using single-engine helicopters for these sort of operations. That's been brought up in the comment section as well. Excellent point. Because if you're 100 feet above the ground here, you're going to need to obtain 40 knots minimum, and this is a generic slide here. This isn't for the aircraft-specific H-130 helicopter, but you're going to need to obtain a considerable amount of forward velocity before you get out of the danger zone of the HV chart, or height over velocity, or the performance for the helicopter. You need to get out of this area as soon as possible. Now, if you're taking off from the ground, you scoot up through this direction, and it's not a problem. If this pilot started his emergency at 400 feet, he would have been in the green area for energy, but if he had to stretch his glide and lose that forward airspeed, he could have slid into this area fairly easily. So investigators will be taking a close look at that. Unfortunately, I don't have an update on the status of the 3 critically injured crew members of Reach 5. Follow KCRA, our local station out of Channel 3, Sacramento, California, kcra.com, for updates on those crew members. Thank you so much for your support. See you here.